let's practice turning a fraction into a decimal. So remember, when we do these practice videos, I'm going to give you a problem and then I'm going to let you guys pause the video, solve it on a piece of paper. Don't do it in your head, truly do it on a piece of paper. Come back, play the video again, and see if your answer matches mine. So we're going to start out with some of the easier ones, just doing stuff in the tenths place. So for our first number, I would like you guys to write 6/10 as a decimal. All right, let's see, 6/10. I'm going to put my decimal point down. If it helps you, definitely add that place value mark for the tenths. I have 6 of them, 6/10. Try this one. Let's try 8/10. All right, you put your decimal down. We know that my tenths place is the one directly to the right of the decimal. This is 8/10, so I need to put my 8 in the tenths place. One last one for the tenths. I want 1/10. Write 1/10 as a decimal. I have my decimal. My tenths place is just to the right of it, so this is 1/10. Let's go ahead and do some practice with the hundredths place. Okay, so let's see, let's just start with something like 3/100ths. I want you to write 3/100ths as a decimal. 3/100ths will look like this. We have to have our decimal point, and then we know, since we're dealing with hundredths, we can't put the 3 in the first space because that is my tenths. I actually need to go on over to my hundredths space. That is where the 3 lives, 3/100ths. The 3 has to be in the hundredths place, but I can't just leave that space open. I must remember to put my 0 placeholder. Now it says 3/100ths. Ready to try another one? Let's try 9/100ths. All right, so I put my decimal down. I know that I have my tenths here and my hundredths here. I have 9/100ths, so the 9 needs to go in the hundredths space. Cannot leave my tenths blank. I must have my 0 placeholder. So this is 9/100ths. 9/100ths. Last practice problem like this, I want you to do 2/100ths. All right, let's see if you got it. I put my decimal point down. I know the 2 is going to be over here in the hundredths place. I need a 0 in my tenths place. So this says 2/100ths. Let's move on up and see if we can make a few more challenging hundredths problems to work on. Okay, we will start with, let's do 32/100ths. Can you write 32/100ths as a decimal? All right, I have my decimal point. I know I have my tenths and my hundredths place. One of the hints I gave you is to take the 2, which is furthest to the right, and place it in the hundredths place because we're dealing with hundredths. And then the 3 fits in right next to it, 32/100ths. Another hint, if you needed it, that you can use is to turn this into money. I have 32 pennies, 32 cents. How do I write 32 cents as money? I have my dollar sign. No dollar bills, nothing in the ones place, decimal point, and 32 cents. This would say 32 cents. Very similar to the way that one looks. Try this one. We're going to do 17/100ths. So I have my decimal point, and I'm going to take my 7, which is furthest to the right. It's going to live in my hundredths place, and the 1 is in the tenths place. So this says 17/100ths. If you wanted to write this as money, I have no dollars, and I have 17 pennies, which is the same thing as 17 cents. That's 17 cents. When you get to the quiz on this, you can use the money to help you, but don't answer your answer in money form, because it's not asking you for money. This is just a hint to help us get our brains thinking about decimals in the right way. Our last problem, I want 98 hundredths. 98 hundredths. All right, we put our decimal down. I know my 8 has to go in the hundredths place, and my 9 goes in the tenths place. 98 hundredths. If this were money, if that helps you, I have no dollars, and I have 98 pennies or 98 cents, and that's how I would write 98 cents. All right, I'm going to give you a couple challenge problems. So let's see if I can trick you on the challenge problems. This will be our last set of practice problems for the day. Okay, so we're going to start with 3 and 2 tenths. Can you write 3 and 2 tenths as a decimal? So we have to start off with our whole number. Our whole number, the 3, goes in the ones place. We put our decimal down, 3 and, now we have to do 2 tenths. So I know my 2 is sitting in the tenths position, the tenths place. So it looks like this, 3.2, 3 and 2 tenths. Try this one. Let's do 4 and 6 hundredths. Try 4 and 6 hundredths. All right, so we have our 4 in our ones place. That's my whole number. And then my decimal point, 4 and 6 hundredths. Well, can my 6 go right here? No, it cannot, because that would be the tenths place. So it needs to go over here. What goes in my tenths place? A 0. The 6 has to go in the hundredths place, the second place over in our number. Let's try another one. Let's do 7 and 18 hundredths. All right, let's check your answer. My 7 is my whole number, so I'm going to put it here. 7 and, the decimal point is my and, 7 and 18 hundredths. I need to get that 8 right there in the hundredths place, so I know I have 2 places. The 8 has to go in the hundredths place. The 1 goes in the tenths. 7 and 18 hundredths. I have one more challenge problem that we didn't talk about, and I want to see if you can do it, okay? It doesn't have a whole number. I could give it a whole number, but I'm not going to. I want to see if you can write 10 hundredths, just as an extra challenge problem. Let's see if you did it. So I have 10 hundredths. If we've been following the same thing I've been talking about each time, my kind of cheating hint, I know that the 0 has to be in the hundredths place, so it's going to be over here, and the 1 is going to be right here. This does say 10 hundredths. However, it's the same number as 1 tenth. Well, if I thought about this, if I took, I'm going to move over here because I'm out of room, if I took 10 100ths and I wanted to find an equivalent fraction to this, if I divided both of them by 10, 10 divided by 10 would be 1, 100 divided by 10 would be 10. So 1 tenth and 10 hundredths are equivalent fractions. So it makes sense that this says 10 hundredths, but if I were to cover up that 0, which doesn't make any difference here because it's to the right of our last number, it also says 1 tenth. That was just an extra challenge problem for those of you who wanted one extra one. Have a good day, and let me know if you need any more help with this.